For 7 days, Princess Alara had been a gift. And for 7 days, her new master had refused her. She was a princess of the Cathali Empire. Or she was. Now she was a spoil of war. Her father, the emperor, had lost the great war against the new species, the humans. His empire was broken. His fleets were dust. In a final desperate act to save their planet from total destruction, her father had offered the humans his most valuable possession, his daughter. Alara was brought to the human flagship. She was taken to the quarters of the human commander, Captain Ryan. This was the man who had single-handedly broken the Cathali siege at Sector 9. He was, her people said, a monster. A true death worlder. She was prepared for brutality. She was prepared for yelling, for chains, for pain. She knew the rules of her own culture. A gift of this kind had only one purpose. She was property now, to be used as the new master saw fit. Her life as a person was over. But the human, Captain Ryan, did not follow the rules. He was a tall man, with tired eyes and a short, brown beard. He looked at her not with hunger, or with anger, or with victory. He looked at her like she was a problem, a piece of furniture that was in his way. "My name is Captain Ryan," he said on the first day. His voice was rough from battle. "You will be safe here. No one will harm you." Then he pointed to a small, clean bed in the corner of his large room. "That is your bed." Alara was confused. And you, master?" she asked, her voice shaking. "I'm sleeping on the couch," he said, pointing to a small sofa near his work desk. "And don't call me master, it's just Ryan." This was the first refusal. For 7 days, the routine was the same. A soldier would bring 3 meals. Ryan would always take his plate and give the first, best plate to her. In her culture, the master always eats first. The gift eats the scraps if the master is kind. This human's actions were not just strange, they were an insult to himself. He was acting like he was the servant, and she was the noble. He gave her clean, simple human clothes. They were soft. They were not the revealing silks a gift was supposed to wear. They were practical. He never, ever looked at her body. He spent all day and all night at his desk, working at a large screen. He was running the occupation of her entire planet, but he did it from this one room. He would drink a dark, hot liquid he called coffee, and he would rub his eyes, often looking tired. He never spoke to her, except to say, "Are you hungry?" Or, "The shower is free if you want to use it." On the 3rd day, she tried to do her duty. She was a gift, and a gift must be useful. While he was at his desk, she quietly knelt. She took his heavy military boots, which were dirty from the station. She began to clean them with a cloth. He did not look. He just kept working. After a few minutes, he finally noticed the sound. He looked down. He saw her on her knees, cleaning his boots. His face did not become pleased. He did not smile. He looked horrified. "What are you doing?" he asked. His voice was sharp. I am making myself useful, master," she whispered. "Get up," he said. It was not a request, it was an order. She stood up, shaking. She thought he was angry that she had touched his boots without permission. "Don't ever do that again," he said, his voice low. "You are not my servant." This was the 2nd refusal. Alara did not understand. She was disgraced. She was a peace offering. She had no home, no title, no honor. She was less than a servant. She was just an object. But this human, he treated her like a person. He gave her space. He gave her privacy. He gave her safety. This, to Alara, was the greatest cruelty of all. She could not understand him. Her father had warned her that humans were monsters. But this monster was kind, and his kindness was a confusing, terrifying puzzle, if he was not. Her master, what was he? If she was not his gift, what was she? Her fear grew. In her culture, a gift that is refused by a new lord is a useless gift, and useless things are disposed of, thrown away. Or, in her case, sent back to her father in shame. That would be a fate worse than death. She thought, he is just waiting. He is tired of the war. He is deciding how to get rid of me. This kindness is just a delay. He is waiting for the right moment to kill me. The anxiety was eating her alive. The not knowing. The silence. On the seventh night, she could not take it anymore. She had to know. She had to know why he was refusing her. She had to know her fate. He was at his desk. The only light in the room came from his screen. He was reading reports. He looked, as always, very tired. She stood from her bed. Her feet made no sound on the metal floor. She walked to his desk and stood there. He did not look up. He probably thought she was just getting a glass of water. "Captain," she said. Her voice was shaking, but she forced it to be clear. He sighed, annoyed at the interruption. He finally looked up. His eyes were red from lack of sleep. "What is it, Alara?" She took a deep breath. She had to force the question out. It was the only way to break the silence. I was a gift human," she said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "I am your property. My life is yours. I do not understand." He just stared at her, his expression confused. Understand what? The tears finally came to her eyes. Not tears of sadness, but tears of pure, desperate confusion. "I am your gift," she said, her voice breaking. "Why haven't you touched me yet?" Ryan's face changed. The tiredness was gone. The confusion was gone. He looked, shocked. Then his face became very dark. He stood up slowly from his chair, his tall shadow covering her. He looked down at her, not with kindness, but with a cold, deep anger. "What?" he said, his voice dangerously quiet. "Did you just ask me?" Princess Alara flinched. She stumbled back. This was the reaction she had expected for 7 days. The monster was finally here. The human's kindness was just a mask, and she had been a fool to be confused by it. His anger was the truth. She prepared herself for the end, but Captain Ryan did not move toward her. He saw her fear. He saw her brace for a blow. And in that instant, his anger vanished. It was replaced by a deep, heavy, and profound sadness. He closed his eyes. He took a very deep breath. He ran a hand over his face. When he spoke, his voice was not angry. It was just tired, so very tired. "Sit down, Alara," he said. He pointed to the chair at his desk. He himself sat down on the edge of his couch, putting his head in his hands for a moment. He looked like a man who had just been given a problem with no solution. Alara was confused again. The anger was gone. "Master, I did not mean to." "Stop," he said, holding up a hand. "Just stop." He looked at her, and his eyes were full of pity. It was a look she had never seen from a conqueror. "Alara," he said, speaking slowly, as if to a child. "What exactly did you think was going to happen when you were sent here?" She hesitated. I am a gift. A prize of war. You are the victor. I am to be used to to please you, and if I do not please you if you don't please me, what?" Ryan asked gently. Alara looked at the floor. Her voice was a bare whisper. "A gift that is not used is a refused gift. It is an insult. It is disposed of, sent back, or just ended." Ryan was silent for a full minute. He stared at the metal wall. He was connecting the pieces. Her fear, her cleaning his boots, her desperation. He finally understood that she was not afraid he would touch her. She was terrified that he wouldn't. His kindness was to her a terrible form of torture. It was the long, silent prelude to her execution. "My God," Ryan whispered. He looked at her, and his expression was one of absolute horror. But it was not horror at her. It was horror at her culture, at her father, at the entire situation. "Ilara," he said, his voice firm, but not angry. "I need you to listen to me. This is the most important thing you will ever hear." She looked up, her eyes wide. "We don't do that," he said. She just looked confused. "Do what?" "We don't gift people," he said. "Humans, my species. We do not give people as property. It is the worst crime in our culture." "But I am not a person," Ilara said, as if explaining a simple fact. "I am a Cathali, a princess, now a spoil of war." "No," Ryan said, shaking his head. "That's the entire problem. That is what this whole stupid war was about. Your father sees people as things, as property. We do not." He leaned forward. "To me, you are a person. You are a refugee. You are a hostage. You are a political prisoner. But you are not a gift." He took a deep breath. The reason I have not touched you." He struggled to find the words. "In my culture, Ilara, to touch someone who does not want to be touched, is a crime. A terrible crime. We call it assault." He pointed a finger at her, but not in an angry way. "You are a person. You have rights. My only job is to make sure no one violates those rights. To keep you safe." Ilara's entire world, which was already broken, was now completely shattering. This was impossible. He was her enemy, her conqueror. But he was speaking of single quotes rights. Safety? "But my father," she whispered. He gave me to you. He ordered me to serve you." Ryan's face became cold. "Your father is a monster. He threw you away to save himself. He does not own you. He cannot give you." He stood up. He walked to his desk. He opened a small metal box. He took out a small, simple black rectangle. He gave it to her. It was a personal data pad. "This is a library," he said. "It has our laws, our constitution, our history. You are not my prisoner. You are my guest, a guest of the Human Federation. You will read this. You will understand that you are your property, no one else's." Ilara looked at the datapad. She looked at his face. He was not lying. He was speaking the new truth. A truth that her entire life had denied. He was not her master. He was her protector. So "What happens to me now?" she asked, her voice small. "Now," Ryan said, "you are safe. I will I will find you a different room. A private one. You will be guarded. You will be free, as free as a former princess can be in the middle of a war." He smiled. A small, tired smile. "But first, I think you need some sleep. Real sleep. Knowing you are safe." LL man. A red light on his main desk terminal began to flash. An urgent message. Ryan's smile vanished. He walked to the terminal. He read the message. His entire body went stiff. He read it again. What is it?" Ilara asked, seeing the change in him. Ryan turned around slowly. His face was not kind. It was not angry. It was cold. It was the face of the captain who had broken her father's fleet. "That was a message from High Command," he said, his voice flat. "They are pleased with your father's gift. My superiors are sending a special ship." He paused, and his eyes were dark. Admiral Thorn is arriving in 24 hours. He is coming to inspect the asset. Alara did not sleep. She spent the entire night with the datapad. The glowing screen was her only light. She did not just read. She consumed. She learned words that her own language did not have. Words like inalienable rights, consent, refugee, and the most powerful word of all, asylum. She learned that her father's gift was, to Ryan's people, the same as human trafficking. A high crime. She learned that Ryan's kindness was not kindness. It was just the law. He was not a kind monster. He was just a normal human, and she learned that Admiral Thorn was not Ryan. The next morning, the ship's alarm chimed. A shuttle was arriving. Illyra's heart was pounding. But it was not just fear. It was something else. Captain Ryan looked at her. He had not slept either. He is here. Stay in this room. Do not speak. Let me handle this. You are my protector, she said. It was not a question. I will do my best, he said. The door to the quarters opened. Admiral Thorn was not a large man. He was small, older, and wore a perfect, clean, white uniform. He did not look like a warrior, like Ryan. He looked like a politician. He smiled, but his eyes were like cold, hard chips of ice. He did not look at Alara. He just walked into the room, looking around in disgust. Ryan, the Admiral said, his voice smooth. You look terrible. Living with the local fauna does not seem to agree with you. Admiral, Ryan said, standing stiffly. She is Princess Alara, a non-combatant. She is an asset, Thorn corrected him, finally turning his cold eyes on Alara. He looked her up and down, like she was a new piece of technology. A very valuable one. Her father's surrender was conditional on us accepting his gift. She is the treaty. He smiled at Alara. It was not a kind smile. She is the proof that the Cathali Empire is now our property. Sir, that is not, Ryan began. That is all, Captain, Thorn interrupted. I am here to take the asset. She will be interviewed on a more secure ship. My ship. We need to know everything she knows about her father's court. Then we will decide what to do with her. Decide? Ryan said, his voice becoming dangerous. Yes, she is a political tool. Maybe a marriage to an ally. Maybe a permanent guest in our high command. She is, after all, a gift. It would be rude to refuse. Thorn clapped his hands. Princess, get your things. You are leaving. This was the moment. Illyra's old life told her to obey. She was property. Her father said so. This admiral said so. But Ryan's datapad. It said something different. She looked at Ryan. He was trapped. He could not disobey his admiral. He was a soldier. He had to follow orders. Alara knew. Ryan could not save her. She had to save herself. She stood up. She was shaking. But she did not walk to the door. She walked to the center of the room, between the two men. Admiral Thorn, she said. Her voice was small, but it was clear. Thorn looked annoyed. What? You have something to say? Yes, Alara said. She took a deep breath. She used the words. The new words. I am EOAR, . Of Keithel. I am not an asset. I am not a gift. Thorn laughed. Oh dear. Ryan, have you been filling her head with your Death Worlder morals? It doesn't matter what you think you are, girl. You are what we say you are. He pointed to the door. Now move. No, Alara said. The room went silent. Ryan's eyes went wide. Admiral Thorn stopped smiling. What? Did you say? Thorn whispered. Ilara looked him right in the eyes. Her voice was not shaking anymore. I am a person, and under the laws of the Human Federation, I am a victim of human trafficking by my father. I am a political prisoner, and I am in fear for my life. She took one step back, placing herself beside Captain Ryan. I formally request political asylum. Thorn's face turned from white to red. He was speechless. He knew the law. He could not deny a request for asylum. Not a formal one. Not from a high-profile person. It would be a political disaster. He was trapped. By his own rules. You. He sputtered, pointing at Ryan. You did this. I did nothing, sir, Ryan said. His voice was perfectly formal, but Ilara could see a small smile on his face. As the ranking officer on this vessel, I am now legally required to process her asylum claim. She is now under my direct legal protection. As a refugee. Not as an asset. He looked at Thorn. Thank you for visiting, Admiral. I will handle the paperwork. Admiral Thorn stared at Ilara. He saw a small foreign woman who had just outplayed him completely. He did not say another word. He turned and he stormed out of the room. The door closed. There was silence for a long time. Ryan let out the longest, slowest breath of his life. He looked at Ilara. She was not a gift. She was not a princess. She was just a refugee. You read the entire Constitution, didn't you? He asked. Yes, Ilara said. And the Bill of Rights. And the Geneva Conventions. Ryan actually laughed. It was a real warm laugh. Welcome to the Human Federation, Ilara. I think you're going to fit in just fine.